Sharon Neiss Arbess. How are you?
I'm well. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. Thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me on your show.
Absolutely, absolutely. You have quite a accomplishment in terms of a few of the books that you've written, and some other things that you've done, and I want to share that with the audience and let them get a feel for who you are and what it's like to be an author and those types of things. So let me just jump in with a brief intro for you.
Sure.
You are an accomplished author with three different books, Me and My So-Called Friends, Get Up, The Most Amazing Department Store, and you're blending storytelling with themes of resilience and personal growth. As a passionate storyteller, your work is driven by a passion for telling those stories and not only entertain, but also educate, aiming to inspire readers to navigate life's challenges with hope and courage. You're an advocate for youth resilience, where you've developed Brave the Waves, a teacher's manual designed to help middle schoolers and parents build resilience, emphasizing emotional well-being. You're an engaging speaker and mentor. You actively engage with audiences through school visits, workshops, and media appearances, sharing insights on creativity, mental health, and empowerment. And you're a community connector. Through your blog and social media, you highlight inspiring individuals, share easy recipes, and discuss topics you believe the world should know about, fostering a sense of community and shared learning. You're quite active.
That's it. Wow, you really got it. And it's amazing. Like you go on with your day and you're working, 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 and you forget what you built.
Yes.
And you need someone like you to remind me. And so I want to say thank you because
Oh, you're very welcome.
I think every author, every artist always says, I'm not doing enough, I'm not producing enough. You always have that in like a little voice in the back of you saying, like, you're not good enough. And so you know what? Like I'm doing okay.
Yeah, yeah. We definitely forget about the things that we've done after we've done them because it's kind of like on to the next. Um,
Always on to the next. Yeah.
and we don't, a lot of times we don't highlight those for ourselves. What may seem to be is not much of a compliment or accomplishment, rather. The world can look at it and be like, holy cow, you did what? So it's definitely a thing that we as creatives don't do enough of.
And comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes.
And you really have to stay on your own track and just ignore the noise and just try and be better, not perfect, but better than you once were, and just keep on improving. And that's what I really have to keep reminding myself.
Yeah,
So I'm saying that out loud for me to hear right now, too, just so you know. That's for me.
for sure. I caught that.
Yeah.
I caught
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
So let's start off with my, like I said, my only scripted question, and that is, where were you born and what was life like as a kid for Sharon?
I love that question, first of all, because it opens up such a Pandora box.
Yes,
Like it can go anyway.
exactly.
It's fabulous. Okay, so I was born in Montreal in 1970, so I'm 54. I'm proud of my age.
All right.
And what was life like for me as a child? I lived in a suburbia of Montreal, Anglophone community, I guess in my bubble of English speaking people. I went to an English speaking school. A lot of people think, oh, you're from Quebec, you must be fluent in French. And that is not the case because they were Anglophone schools. So when I attended them,
All right.
I was amongst a lot of competitive kids. So if I look back, a lot of my classmates went on to the Ivy League. So I was really surrounded by excellence.
Okay.
And that was something that I could not measure up to, or I wasn't at that level. And that was hard. So that was like a competitive, hard part of growing up. Sports was definitely something that people I hoped you would do, like to be a good skier, soccer player, baseball, like you have to be involved with this type of sport.
Yeah.
And I really wasn't very athletic either. So that was kind of another boo for me for that.
Okay.
So although I was safe and I grew up in in a home where there was plenty of food on the table and the electricity never went out. I was amongst competitiveness and strive to be the best you can be. And if you didn't measure up, it didn't feel so great. So that was a difficult part of growing up. And so, but because of that, of I guess I should say, I don't want to use the term failing, but I just didn't do as well or as opposed as a
So with that competitiveness that you were experiencing and feeling, was that coming from maybe some siblings, or is that just mostly within the school, elementary school?
I think it's my whole community.
Okay.
Everyone was very competitive.
Gotcha.
So I wasn't the best at gym class. I wasn't the best in math class. I was okay, but I wasn't the best because of not being, I guess, being around all the competitiveness and trying and failing at times. Although I don't like to use the word fail, but I guess just not measuring up or just
Sure. Yeah.
not being the best. So it enabled me to put myself out there
Okay.
with risk. Now, when I first started writing, I would get a lot of rejections. I still get a lot of rejections, but I'm used to it. I'm just used to like falling down and picking myself up, falling down, picking myself up. It's part of the process. And it's definitely difficult, and it hurts, but I'm just kind of numb to it
Right.
because of my childhood, of all the competitiveness around me.
Right.
So
So within elementary school then, were you trying to overcome some of that by trying to maybe fit in more with others, or were you still kind of wanted to stand off a little bit because you knew you weren't as good?
I didn't fit in.
Okay.
Let's just put it that way. Like I
Got it.
definitely didn't fit in, and that is how it was. Although what I did stand out was, and you don't forget about these things because they come back to haunt you later. It's just so interesting. So I remember I was in the fourth grade, and everyone got a chance to pick up a body part to do a presentation on. Bones, heart, brain, kidney, you name it, they picked it and they did a presentation. And I want to be different.
Okay.
So I decided I didn't want to do a body part and I want to do it on a result of a body part or a result of gas. So I decided to do it on the hiccups.
Oh, interesting.
And so my teacher said, okay. And so I did. And I was really applauded for my creativity and not following the status quo. And
Nice.
I've been that way ever since. Just, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this.
That's great.
It's
That,
fun.
yeah. So right off the bat, you're starting off with showing and giving the audience a view into the way your brain works. It's not
Exactly.
necessarily going to follow exactly what is asked for. You're going to come up with a creative way to make it feel good and feel right for you.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm still working on that. And I think every writer, well, I hope every writer, you have to read. It's part of the job.
Yeah.
Especially, Stephen King always says, like, take that picture thing off the wall and smash it. You need to read more. Like Stephen King doesn't like the TV.
Yeah.
Although he does send like he says that he does watch sports, but whatever. And he's like one of my idols because he produces so much and he just writes beautifully and he really takes it out there. I just find him to be amazing. Anyhow, so I do a lot of reading. and I'm part of a book club. And when you're a part of a book club, you don't get to choose the books, or they give you like four or five to choose from, and then they offer to you, we're working on these, choose four out of five. And so my group chooses them, and most of the time they're New York Times bestsellers. And some of them I like, and some of them I don't like. And I always thought that something was wrong with me, but there's nothing wrong with me. It's taste.
For sure.
And some restaurant could have a three-star Michelin award
Yeah.
for French food, and I don't like French food. I won't go to that restaurant. So you have to look at it like that. Like, I'm not for everyone. My style of writing isn't for everyone. That's why when you go to a big bookstore like Chapters or Indigo, Indigo's in Canada. I think it's the Chapters
Okay.
of the States. Yeah. Um, and so that's why there's so many books, because there's so much like the different tastes out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. When you were little, what type of work did your parents do?
My dad was a pharmacist. He's retired.
Okay.
And my mom was a family life educator.
Oh wow. Wow. Can you expand on that just a little bit?
She worked with families who are going through when a family member has Alzheimer's. She taught sex education.
Okay.
She taught mothers how to balance their lives with nursery school children. A lot of working with groups.
Okay. All right. Very interesting. Did you have siblings?
Yes, I have a sister,
Okay.
and she's an artist as well, but she's a painting artist, not a writing artist.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
How about was there any other creatives in the family? Maybe your grandparents or
No, I was surrounded by a lot of physicians. A
all right.
lot of physicians, lawyers. Yeah.
What
No writers. No writers. There are a lot of sculptors, painters in my dad's side of the family.
okay.
But I'm the first writer.
Got you. All right. You're the maverick.
Okay.
You're setting out to pave a new path
Yeah.
within
Well,
the
it
family.
comes with my pattern. I'm unorthodox in some way that I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
With being in elementary school, shifting potentially about to go to middle school, was there anything at that point where you started to feel even more uncomfortable within yourself?
Actually, I went from elementary school right to high school in Quebec. That's how there was
Okay.
no middle school in Quebec.
All right.
So outside of myself, no, I can't say that I did. Although my first book, Me and
Yeah.
My So-Called Friends, is based on what I went through in high school of changing friends and not knowing, not viewing your friends as not what they used to be, and dealing with almost failing a math course,
Okay.
dealing with boy troubles, rumors, just things like that. So they always say the first novel is an autobiography or of your life. There are a lot of things in that book that are true,
Yeah.
and a lot of things that aren't, that I had to exaggerate to make it more exciting.
Got you. Got you. So almost failing math, that was again, I'm seeing that your brain is thinking differently. Basically, anything other than art was never something I was good at. So whether it was math, geography, science, I never did well in any of those things. But having that different way of thinking about things, a lot of times it does reflect in a student's grades. And it just kind of is something that's early on that's not always picked up on. But throughout conversations that I've been having, I've been finding this as a continuous overarching pattern that there are certain ways that creatives think versus how the school wants you to think in order to educate you. So it's very interesting that we're seeing this already. With having that type of a scenario almost failing, and
Mhm.
potentially having to do it all over again. How much anxiety did that build up with inside?
Oh, a ton. Like I knew I had to get a certain mark to pass. I think it was in the eighth grade, and there was a ton of anxiety, but I worked my ass off and I passed. But I think I did more than pass. I did really, really well in the end because I just gave it my all. I guess when my someone puts a gun to my head, I put the pedal to the metal and I work really hard.
You're going to excel if you have to.
Yeah, and I guess I'd always had it in me. I just didn't know it at the time because I was 13.
Okay. Okay. So in Canada, you guys at 13, you start high school?
Yeah.
And do you have a longer period of high school based on?
Well, it's interesting. It's different than this is a little confusing. In Montreal, there's a system, or Quebec,
Okay.
and in Ontario and the rest of the provinces have a system. So
Gotcha.
in Montreal, high school starts in grade 7 and goes to grade 11.
Okay.
And then you have something called CEGEP, and it's an acronym for like a long French sentence that I don't know what it
Okay.
means, but it's like a college before university.
Ah,
And in this CEGEP, you, I guess, concentrate in the sciences or the arts or the health sciences, and it kind of feeds your way to your university courses.
nice.
Is actually a really good idea
Yeah.
because you switch schools and then you kind of get focused and you get your grades up if needed be. Whereas in Ontario and the rest of the provinces, you just go high school to university.
Yeah.
And I know you in the States, you guys call it college. We
Yeah.
call it college university, but we call it university.
Yeah. I think a lot of that over here is just based on the size of the school. If it's a smaller school, they refer to it as a college. If it's a larger school, then it's a university kind of a scenario.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fascinating way to approach education.
I think it's actually quite smart.
Yeah, I'm seeing that as well. I think that would be hugely beneficial if we had that here in the States.
Mhm.
Because there's always that place in between where sometimes a student will opt out of going further because they don't know what direction they want to go into. And if they're able to have that 1 year period of kind of figuring those things out, it might potentially help them more. So that's fantastic. You mentioned some scenarios based off of the book of having um, issues with some friends, boys, different things like that. Can you share one of those experiences of where it wasn't exactly what you thought it was?
Oh gosh. Was exactly what I thought it was. I'm not sure if I understand your question.
Okay, so let me rephrase it. Did you have a friendship or group of friends that you thought for sure were your friends and were tight knit, and then maybe found out later, oh, that person wasn't really my friend at all?
Yeah, so I think like that's what the story's based on. Your friends aren't the friends that you think they are, especially when you're going through a hard time. Like who shows up
Right.
when you're going through a difficult time.
Okay.
So that's the basis of that story. And also how the main character finds new friends when in the least expected places to help her support what she's going through.
Got you. And was there an experience for yourself, a hard time that you had that brought that to the forefront?
I don't think it was necessarily one incident that I had a hard time. I think, generally speaking, every girl or every teenager goes through changing of friends because you evolve.
Yeah.
And it even happens today. Like, especially after COVID, you realize you kind of do I guess, a cleanse. It's funny. I was just doing a social media cleanse. I was going through all my Instagram follower or people who I was following, and I was questioning myself: Do I need to follow this person? And why is he giving me any beneficial in life? So I got rid of like 500 people I was following,
Okay.
And I just did it. Now was the time to do it. And I guess I'm evolving, and I was evolving when I was 13, 14, 15, 16, 17,
Yeah.
25, 35, always evolving, always evaluating. How do I feel with this person? Is this person supporting me, helping me by my side? Am I helping them? Is the relationship, beneficial? I guess I started asking these questions to myself at a young age, which is good.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And
Mhm.
what was one of those instances where you were able to see early on, like that one of these individuals does not really have my best interests at heart?
So I really can't pinpoint exactly in real life what happened with any of my friends who I either grew out of or just moved on from. But in order to write a story, I had to think of a good reason.
Okay.
I guess back then it was just a feeling. And then when you're writing a book, that's not good enough, especially when you're writing for middle school kids, because this book is aimed for middle school kids.
All right.
You have to have a reason. So I decided to write about a nasty rumor. That will do it.
Yeah, for sure.
So
For sure. Okay. All right. Your sister was how far behind was she than
head, she's 3 years
that?
older.
2 years older. All right.
Three.
Did three? Okay. Did you guys have a relationship in school where she kind of looked out for you at all?
Yes and no. And I
Okay.
think she looks back on it now and said I should have been there more.
Okay.
She did. And we also went to different schools
Gotcha.
at some point, but she was pretty good. She looked out for me for the most part. I think you always look back and you say to yourself, I could have done better. I should have done better. I should have done this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should have, could have. But in general, she was there for me.
Okay. And was she, at what point did she switch to a different school versus,
I did. I switched to a different school. I was going to my elementary school had Hebrew in it,
okay.
included Hebrew.
Okay.
And when I got to high school, I said, I'm done with Hebrew, and she continued on.
Got you. Okay. So would it be considered a private school in Canada?
Yes, it was a
Okay.
private school. And
Gotcha.
I went to the public school for high school.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I understand that concept because I was in public school up until fourth grade. And then at fourth grade, my parents took me out of public school and put me into a private Christian school, which it was very uncomfortable for me to do that because I had to leave a bunch of people that I had as friends, go to this new school where I knew some of the few people, but not all of them. And it being a completely different experience, it was a tough transition for me.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
Did you learn something from it?
I guess probably the friends that I made, as they're still friends to this day. So I guess that's the takeaway.
Hmm.
There wasn't also too because it was so small, and it's after the second year they started a sports program, and because I was a little bit athletic, I was able to play with the older students, which allowed me to excel quicker within athletics to perform better because I was watching everything that they were doing, how they were moving, how they were functioning. And I was trying to emulate some of that and then also to go beyond it. So if we were playing one-on-one scenarios, I could beat them at some point in time. But that's probably the most that I can focus on as a takeaway from those that time. With shifting into that transition period in between high school and university for you, did you know at that point that you wanted to potentially focus on a creative study going forward?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Okay.
Maybe a part of the reason was that I got so far with math and realized, well, this isn't for me. So once you close your door on math, there's less choice. But also, I really enjoyed writing. I really did. I enjoyed capturing people's attention with words
Yeah.
and images. It was fun.
Yeah.
So I thought that I would be an advertising executive or work in the creative part of advertising.
Yeah.
And I did.
Okay.
Before I became a writer, I worked in advertising and I worked there for about 2, 3 years. I worked for a big retail firm
Okay.
and it was fun to use words to get people's attention.
So did you graduate from university with a writing degree or was it
Communication studies,
communication?
so it's the same
Yeah.
idea.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. Communication.
Hmm.
Got you. Did you have to work going through university?
I worked part-time here and there,
Okay.
odd jobs,
Just
but not in the field.
okay.
I worked at summer camp.
All right.
I worked at a drugstore. I didn't work in the field of advertising, no,
Got you. How
until I graduated,
yeah.
and then I did.
How was summer camp? Working at summer camp, how was that experience for you? Was it something that you enjoyed?
Well, working or being a camper, which one? Because
Either
I also
or.
went to camp every summer.
Okay. Either or.
So being at camp every summer, I think I enjoyed it more when I was like 12, 13, 14, 15.
Yeah.
It was fun. And when I stopped going, I was like, whoa, what's going on? Like it's kind of weird because you're going to the same place your whole life. And then working as a staff, I loved it. Although for one summer, I was a counselor on a bike trip. And let's just say that to this day, I can say that summer was the hardest summer of my life. More difficult than raising my kids, than giving birth. Like I have to say, it was pretty remarkable. And so I look back on that now, and there's definitely a story in there. So I actually started writing because I have a book coming out, I think summer and fall, hopefully summer. We're just working on the creative right now. But I have another book in my head that's been eating away at me because I need to talk about or write about what happened that summer when I was a bike counselor on this bike trip that with kids from New York that tormented me. And
Okay.
I actually, when I finished the trip, because I didn't even think of quitting. I don't know why. Maybe it was something from the 90s, but I just did it. I'm not quitting. I actually second guessed, and I'm like, I don't think I can have children. I don't think I can do that because it was so painful.
Oh wow.
Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah,
Fascinating. Anyhow, so there's a story in there. So that's like one of the main things I love about being a writer is there's a story everywhere.
for sure.
And I could have written about this bike trip a while ago because it happened in the early 90s, but I wasn't ready. And there's always like, it's all about timing and being aligned and just ready to share that part of my life. And of course, I'm going to turn it upside down and make it different and change characters for privacy reasons.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a great story in there, and I can't wait to dig in and to write it.
With the way that you described this event, this experience, rather, you said it was more difficult than having kids.
Yeah.
So that that seems very interesting to me.
Oh my God.
Is there a place within that that we can explore to share with the audience without giving away your book concept, so to speak? But it seems as a very pivotal point in time.
They just challenged me, these kids who were 15 and were, I'm going to say, in a different environment than I knew at 21
Okay.
or I was accustomed to,
Yeah.
that challenged me emotionally. Then I was like, how do you say that to somebody? and putting me in a very uncomfortable position by asking me personal questions. Or even just telling me to F off,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then making me feel like maybe something's wrong with me, but no, nothing's wrong with me. It's them. They were bonkers. I can say I try to say bonkers. They were just. I'm going to say what Julie Louise Dreyfus says on her podcast, "Cuckoo bananas."
Right.
She says "cuckoo bananas" because they were. And I remember the head of the bike trip came by and said, "Oh my God, Sharon, your kids are oh."
Right. Well, you said they're from the States and from New York, most of them, correct?
I don't want to zero in and say that all kids from New York are
Yeah,
have
I'm
poor behavior. That's not fair.
no, I'm with you. I'm with you there. Where I'm going with it is the fact that in the States, there's a different, and I'm saying this from my own experience because I live as close as I do to Canada, and I've been to Canada and understand a little bit about the people there in terms of respect. There's, from my perspective, there's a sense of respect in terms of a person as a person rather than here in the States. A lot of times it's easier to denigrate somebody else right off the bat. Like even without necessarily getting to know them, you can just jump in and criticize someone or treat them less than just because you feel a specific way. I've never experienced that with my travels to Canada and going over there. No,
I'm going to disagree with that. I think it was me. I think I was just so naive and green.
really?
Yeah, because I know a lot of tough people in Canada. I
Okay,
would tell them where to go, and I at that time was not able to do that. And that's
gotcha.
okay. I wasn't there yet. It's
Okay,
okay. I was a naive 21-year-old that I thought everyone would be nice, and they're
right.
not.
That's true. They're not.
It's okay.
They're not.
Now
Definitely.
I can tell the tale because in the end, you learn a story from it. You learn something from it.
Sure. Sure. Absolutely. After that experience, did you continue to work at the camp?
No, to work at a camp, or I think that was it. That was my last summer. And then I began to work in advertising. Yeah, that was
Okay.
it. Uh-huh. I was actually done. And then obviously I did have children. I have three adult children right now, and they're very nice.
Okay.
They treat me with respect.
Gotcha. Credit to you for raising them the way you have.
Well, I did my best, and it's still a work in progress. It never ends.
Sure. Sure. Shifting into the advertising agency, how different was that from some of the smaller jobs that you had in terms of,
Well, first of all, to get a job in advertising was a job and a half.
yeah,
This was the mid 90s and before the internet, anything. So I would get a big copy. There was a huge magazine called Advertising Age
yeah,
or Marketing Magazine at the time that I think about it. And I go through all like the agencies, and I would call them one by one. And I would ask to show my portfolio. And sometimes people would call me back, and sometimes people wouldn't. And I would go in for an interview. And I did that for about 3 to 6 months till I got my first job.
okay,
Took a lot of perseverance,
yeah,
which is similar to finding a publisher and writing a book. Perseverance. It's a book like this or this or this
yeah,
does not happen overnight.
sure,
Takes discipline, perseverance, not giving up, and like a schedule to write almost every day. And then when you're done, to sit down and to search for a literary agent or publisher. It took a long time.
right. With that process of reaching out and cold calling all these different agencies, how difficult was it for you to continue and persevere? till you finally
Oh,
got,
so hard. And not only that, not only phone calls, I had to get creative too.
yeah.
Like I would drop off promotional pieces. Like I had this thing called the Sharon Shake.
Nice.
It
Okay.
was a little bottle, and I had like put it with like, a lemonade or something. And then the ingredients would be like creativity, perseverance, and the things like that to get people's attention.
Clever.
Yeah,
Very clever.
anything. I mean, it was
Yeah.
I had to do what I had to do. And then one time I used to feel so bad about this, but it turns out that other people do it too. I think I sent some like an agency flowers to call me back.
Yeah.
I thought it was so slutty, but it was fine.
Yeah.
They called me back. I didn't get the job, but I did what I could to get my foot in the door.
Two, in the 90s, advertising was a different beast at that point.
It was. It's very different now.
So if you are not making yourself stand out, you weren't going to get any kind of attention. The Sharon Shake, that's to me, that's a genius move
Thank you.
because it is absolutely showing the different way that your mind is working. Also, the fact that you're trying to get attention from not a normal way of processing, of trying to get into an agency. That would have made me take a second look for sure, knowing knowing that a lot of the people that I worked with and went to school with ended up going into advertising during those times as well. Once you got into the agency, were you, of course, you have to work your way up the ladder, but did you get put into a position that made you question being in that environment at all?
Is this right for me?
Yeah. Did you get stuck with just running
At times,
errands?
because the job that I had was actually quite technical
Okay.
and it required to learn different computer programs. So sometimes I would say, is this, sometimes I just want to write in Word,
Yeah.
but what came with the job was technical stuff. So I would keep going though. It was just a learning curve, like everything else.
Got you. And so we're within the department of the advertising, were you immediately put into the creative communicative component?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I was.
Okay. And how was it working with other creatives in that environment for
We
you?
were a team. It was fine. I had no problems, really. I worked closely with the editors. I remember
Okay.
made a really good friend. They caught all my boo-boos.
All right.
So it was a fun time.
All right. That's great. Not everybody has those experiences, um,
That's true.
because advertising agencies are pretty cutthroat in terms of, at least in the States, in terms of getting ahead. It's not all fun and games.
Maybe if I would have stayed longer, maybe that would have happened. But I got pregnant with my first child,
Okay.
and then I went back part-time after I had him. And then they lost a big account. And when they lose a big account, bye bye part-timers. And then I started writing.
Okay. So at that point, you're having your first child. Let's back up just a little bit to
Sure.
where you first met your husband. And what was that like? Was it a love at first sight, or was it, oh, this guy's cool, let me just get to know him? What was that experience?
Well, I met him at a social gathering when I was 18, although we didn't start dating yet. I was dating somebody else and I was very happy with him.
Okay.
I just met him there. I'm like, oh, hi, I'm Sharon. Hi, I'm Gordy. And then it wasn't until 4 years later that we began dating.
Okay. All right. And what was it about him that kept him in your mind?
His beautiful caramel eyes and his just demeanor,
Okay.
his
Okay.
patience, his demeanor, his just his just calming presence.
Nice. And so after you guys started dating, how long did that go into before you started to make the decision of, I think we want to get married?
4 years.
4 years. Okay. All right. With shifting into, all right, I'm about to not have this job anymore. We have this child on the way.
Mhm.
And I'm guessing that your husband at the time is basically about to be the only breadwinner. Was there any stress on your mindset in terms of, all right, I may not be able to give as much as he's going to have to give with us moving forward?
Well, I think it kind of balances each other out when I'm mostly with my child. So doing all like the homemaking things and being with him and child care. So it kind of balances each other out.
Sure. Okay.
So it really wasn't an issue, but I did have a dream of continuing to write. I wanted to continue writing. So when he was either napping or in preschool, I would write
Okay. So you took that time as the opportunity to
to
slip
write.
into being the writer. Going into that, is your mind constantly coming up with stories on a regular basis?
It's the things I see every day.
Okay. Rose again. So the same things that you're seeing every day are the things that are generating the storylines.
I have a really long memory. And
Okay.
so I remember what people say to me and I remember situations. And so they're all just stories waiting to be told. It's just and just everything that I see, I go through every day. There's always a story in everything. That's the way I see it.
Okay.
So even when people say things to me, that could be a huge eureka moment and like, oh my God, I got to write something. So, for example, how I came up with the story of this, the most amazing department store, is very interesting, if I may share it with you.
Sure. Please.
So, anyhow, my daughter was seeing this guy from Montreal, and coincidentally, his grandmother, his great grandmother and my daughter's great grandmother were friends.
Oh, wow.
And they supposedly worked in the department store together.
Okay.
And that coincidence is crazy.
Yeah. What are the odds?
What are the odds of that? So then, and then all like once I heard that story, I kind of just like my world just came crashing down. Like, oh my God, oh my God, I can't stand that coincidence. It's crazy. Going through my head, I was like banging into furniture, like putting like it was just really, it really shook me up, put
Mm,
it that way.
okay.
Then all these stories from my grandmother telling me about the fact that they didn't normally hire Jews at Simpson's department store. Well, that's all I needed. And then I just took a deep dive into the world of 1945 in Montreal, Quebec, and what it was like to be a shop girl in a department store. And out came this book.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice. With the process, was that your first book or third book?
third.
Third. Okay. Got you.
Yeah.
With coming up with that idea and concept, how long does it take you to flesh that out into starting the storyline?
Well, it depends on the book.
Okay.
So this one took about a year and a half.
Okay.
This one, which is a collection of short stories, took about a year.
Okay.
This one took a little longer. My first one, my debut novel, took a little longer because Although I had the first draft in 9 months, once you write your first book, you kind of want to like put it on the shelf
Okay.
because you're like, oh, people are going to read it. No, 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 no. I wrote it. I'm not going to share it with the world. So it took me a little longer, like 5, 6 years on like on the shelf until I was ready to show it to the world.
Oh, wow.
Um, because it's your art and people are not going to like it, like anything.
That's
So
the thought, right? That's the
it took
thought.
some gut. I'm used to it now. It's okay. My fourth book is coming out in a couple of months.
Yeah,
All will be good. I'm not going to wait. It's going to be out there. I'm
right.
used to it now.
Yeah, I want to go there a little bit more because of
Sure.
the that thought process of it's not going to be accepted, it's not going to be liked, it's not going to be received. That's a long time, 5 years. Even for a painter who does a painting and maybe sets it back on the shelf somewhere and doesn't release it, that does take place. But for somebody who's thinking about this as a career, how did you get over that of realizing, no, I have to put this out. It can't just sit on the shelf for another year.
That's an excellent question. So during those 5 years, actually more like 7 years, I was working on another project
Okay.
that I had to, I'm going to use the word fail, and I'm going to say first attempt in learning. That's my acronym for fail.
Okay.
It was
I
a
like
family,
that.
thank you. It was a family calendar that I had out in a couple of retail stores, but at some point I was losing money and I couldn't do it anymore. So I had to put it down. And it was a great idea, but it just wasn't worth it anymore.
Yeah.
So after I put that down to rest, I had some time to mourn. My husband said, "Why don't you think about publishing your book? It's on the shelf."
Okay.
I said, "Good idea."
Nice. So this calendar, uh,
Yeah.
tell me a little bit more about that. What you said is a
It
family
was
calendar. So what was the
it was
concept?
a it was a lot of fun because I met a lot of great people. And a lot of cuckoo bananas people too,
Okay.
but a lot of great people too. It was called Deja Vu, and it
Nice.
was a reoccurring events calendar. So it had like this plastic sheet over the month where you could write reoccurring activities like soccer or swimming. So you wouldn't have to write them over and over again when they would reoccur.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I learned a ton. Oh, did I learn a lot. So, I look at that as a business school. I look at it as, to really do your research before you dive in,
Yeah.
who you sign a contract with. I learned a lot and I don't regret it because it was a great education.
Yeah. There's something I'm seeing here with these different things that you've creatively came up with. You, uh, again, my opinion, my impression, you are more than a writer. You have this creative side about you that I'm very curious as if you've even explored it further. The Sharon Shake that you put out there to try to get into the advertising agency, this family calendar, the concept of it is very different from what's on the market. It's very creative, very convenient as a product. And I wonder what was the thing that you saw was not allowing it to move farther in the marketplace?
People were really relying on their phones, and if they used paper, they liked their puppy calendars. that they
Okay.
got for 11.99, and mine was a little more expensive because of the plastic sheet and the stickers that were used.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I didn't have enough reach. I didn't put that much money into it. It's
Okay.
hard to know. It's hard to know, but I spoke to a lot of as I was going along with of working on, and I spoke to business owners and just business people in general. And a lot of them said, I wouldn't touch that thing with a 10-foot pole. People like their regular paper calendars and their phones, period.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Interesting.
But to this day, I have my phone for my calendar, and I also have a calendar right there, if you can
Right.
see. Yeah, it's just a regular calendar. I like to have it all over the place. I know what's going on. I know what date it is. I also have like another like an agenda, like a paper one too. So I have calendars everywhere. It just mine didn't work.
Did you work with a distributor to get it out to market, or did you put it out yourself?
Both. I really put it out myself, to be honest.
Okay.
No distributor. I put
Distributor
it out
didn't
myself.
help. Printer
No.
didn't help much after it was produced. Gotcha. Okay. Is that part of the business learning experience that you are talking about?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Let's go into that a little bit more because a lot of listeners may not understand the process of printing, working with a printer, getting something like that produced. What was the thing that you saw with working with the people you did
Oh darn,
in
my
your
phone
life?
is ringing. What do we do? Pause?
Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the lessons that you learned in terms of business with working with that printer, what was the thing that opened your eyes to, oh, I'm not going to get any help here other than it just me paying them to have this printed and that's the end of it.
I think the biggest lesson was timing,
Okay.
getting it at a certain time and getting to the stores a certain time. And also the more I was involved with this calendar project, the less of creativity I was playing. It was more business.
Okay.
And that's not me.
All right. Yeah. It's a fine line that creatives walk.
I was becoming, and it was just something that I didn't like where it was leading.
Gotcha.
I was no longer creating.
Okay. All right. And how many years did you try to keep that going?
I was working on that calendar for 8 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 8 years.
Wow. And you're putting
Give
it
it a
out.
good go.
Yeah, that is a good stretch. Putting it out yourself. Mom and pop shops, I'm assuming.
Yes, and like chapters Indigo
Okay.
there too. And it was on TV too.
Oh, wow.
And it won an award for like best mom invention of 2011. It was got some like
Well,
definitely some praise.
oh, you're gliding over some of the highlights of the story
I
here.
think because like it wasn't a huge financial success. So to
So,
me, I'm like, I won this award, but like I just don't want to even go there because I couldn't live on it, so I had to stop.
I get that. I totally get that. I've had many opportunities that have amounted to nothing other than a fantastic piece of the resume. But what I want for the audience is I want them to experience a business venture, a creative business venture that you took on yourself, spent 8 years developing it, 8 years putting it out to the public. You won an award for this. That's a highlight. That's a thing. That needs to be put on the lights for the moment, put in the spotlights. What led to you getting that award? Number one, let's start with that.
It was a marketing award. It's this company that reviews products for families.
Okay. That,
That's
that
all.
that's it.
That's it. Got a certificate. Congratulations. Your product is, recognized.
And like, is there only a handful of people that are get to? be a part of this, or is it a broad range of across?
I
Yeah.
don't, I don't, it was 2011. I don't remember. But
Okay.
I did frame the certificate and I put it next to on my desk.
All right. That that's a huge accomplishment, especially for a product to get recognized. I mean, there's plenty of ad agencies that get ad awards year after year after year. Most of them are vying for those awards. For you to receive an award for a product that you created for your business, and it's literally the business, it's the main product of the business. Um, for me, that says something. That says a lot.
Thank you.
And it takes stamina and resilience to go 8 years with a product. And especially with that product being the same thing, essentially. Were there any things that you added to or took out of the product as you're going through that 8 year period?
Yeah, I changed the design a little bit. I'm
Okay.
not sure if I totally would do that again, but I just remember being on the phone with CEOs of other types of distributional products, and they kept saying like, Sharon, like I know you're putting your heart and soul into this, but don't stop it. There's not enough SKUs. Like I don't know if people, your audience would know what a SKU is. It's
Yeah,
like when you, do you want me to explain what it is or
you
no?
can.
Oh,
You
it's
can.
like when you have like pens, there's like a blue one, a green one, a red one, different styles. And I just had one calendar. So it's not enough to sell to like a Costco or to sell to like a big chain of stores. So they kept telling me, stop, stop. And I said, okay, I'm going to throw in the towel. You have to know when to throw in the towel.
I understand that. I understand that. But what I want, another thing that I want to highlight here for the audience is the timing of where we are in 2025 versus where you were when you were creating this calendar. Completely different marketplace in terms of being able to get something out there quickly and easily versus also too, now you don't have as many of those people around that are saying you can and cannot do something versus today you can create a product, put it out within 24 hours, and it can shoot to the moon. The fact that I want to give the audience the viewpoint of is the fact that you're dealing with these people that are continuously telling you, no, this isn't going to work. Stop doing this. Quit being this creative person that you are. Quit making this thing. But yet you've stretched it out for 8 years. That's an accomplishment. I want the audience to see that because it's valuable. It goes to show who you are as a creative because I'm viewing you at this point, I'm viewing you more than just an author. I'm viewing you as a creative. You have more in your toolbox than you're letting on. And
Okay.
I'm seeing it already.
Okay.
And the reason I can relate to that, having an 8 year stretch with that product, right? My jewelry company, I had my jewelry company for 9 years. I was producing designer jewelry from scratch. When I stepped into the jewelry industry, I didn't know anything about it other than I knew what I liked on the market and I knew I could draw what I wanted to see as a final piece. I didn't know anything else. I didn't know how to get going in it. I didn't know who to contact, didn't know any of that stuff. But this was 2010, the end of 2010, when I started with my business partner, who at that time, he had just gone through a divorce and him and his wife had two retail stores in the jewelry industry. So he knew a bit about buying, knew a bit about selling. He knew I was creative. He said, hey, you want to partner up and make this jewelry? And I said, sure, let's do it. I wasn't afraid because I didn't know what to do. I had enough confidence in myself to know I can draw what I want to see as a finished product. I can present it to somebody. I can explain why I want it to look. And if I can get it made, then fantastic. The other route is I go to school for about 4 to 6 years and learn jewelry making, that type of stuff. I knew I didn't want to do that. I knew it couldn't hold my attention long enough to go that route. And I didn't have the money to do it either. So we went out, got a loan. I started designing. We found a manufacturer, started working with the manufacturer, getting the pieces made. From there, we went, started doing trade shows. He started selling to individual stores. And we did that for 9 years. And it was the pandemic that made the decision of, okay, we have to stop this. It wasn't that we were having people tell us, oh, no, you need to do it this way, you need to do it that way. I had plenty of that, but that didn't deter me because I had it in my head. This is what I want to make. There's some stuff similar to it on the market. I'm going to put it out there. For a creative to do something like you've done, created that product, stretched it out for 8 years, that's an accomplishment. And I want to highlight that to the creative community that, hey, just because you have an idea doesn't mean it's not a good idea. And somebody that's telling you otherwise is doing it for one or two reasons. Either they have a financial potential investment or they have an envy scenario and they want to get you off the market. That's how I perceive things like that with all the years of me doing business. What I'm seeing and want to highlight is you had this creative ability to be able to move and go in this direction, and you kept doing it. You did it for 8 years before you finally decided, okay, I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to shift into this other thing. And I just wanted to highlight that for creatives. So don't let other people's opinions of what you're creating deter you from putting it out there. Because something that lasts 8 years had some value to it. Otherwise, it would have lasted only a year, maybe 6 months. It would have been dead on the water as soon as it got put out. But it wasn't. It had something that was sustainable for 8 years. I just wanted to highlight that.
Thank you.
Shifting into, I'm gonna I'm gonna put this book out now finally. It's been sitting on the shelf for close to
Five,
7 years.
6 years.
Yeah, close to
Wow.
6. When you started to get that enthusiasm about doing that, what was the first thing that you felt you needed to do to move that forward as a writer?
Well, I had to read it again because I put it on the shelf for a while and I had wanted to change a couple things. And I began to work with an editor who brought out my best writing. And then once that was completed, I gave it to a friend who's a university professor because I knew because she had that status, she would be able to check my grammar
Mm.
and spelling mistakes and make sure that it all made sense and flowed well and had a good story because she's also a professor in the film department at York University here in Toronto. And so I didn't hear from her for 2 weeks. And then when I finally called her to say, well, she said, oh, I booked you a book reading somewhere.
Okay.
And you what? And it was in a 3-ring binder.
Okay.
And I had to get it into
A bound
this
cover.
down cover.
Yeah.
So with the help of my son, who was 16 at the time, he designed the cover, which I
Cool.
think is brilliant. And I had it done. So I self-published that. And then I had my launch at my local temple. And then it just kind of skyrocketed. And then the more people like read it, parents would come up to me and say, my child doesn't read, but they read your book.
Okay.
That was really like profound for me.
Sure.
And then a lot of teachers said, you really should bring it into the classroom. I said, okay, they can buy the book and bring it into the classroom. I said, no, no, no. You have to create a teacher's manual. And that's where Brave the Waves came in. So I'm not a teacher. So what I did was I hired an Ontario certified teacher to read the book and to pull out certain themes of the book and to create hands-on lessons. And she did. And there are 8 schools, I think maybe 9, 8 or 9 schools in Toronto that are using the book and program.
Okay. Excellent.
That to me is a success.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's ongoing, right?
It's ongoing, and people really, it's a great platform to have those difficult conversations. And there's one story that I'll never forget. A girl in grade 4 was reading it, and that's a bit young because I think the book is for grade 6 to 9. Although if you're an advanced reader and you're in grade 4 or 5, go ahead. What's going to hurt you? So she was in grade 4 at the time, and she was halfway through, and she went up to her mother and said, I don't think I should be reading this because they talk about drugs and they're at a party. I don't think it's appropriate for me. And the mother was said, no, that's good. Let's talk about it. So it brings up the conversation of what to do when the situation happens, because the girl was in grade 4 at the time, and 2 or 3 years later, she's going to be at a party where there's drugs and alcohol and other things. And what are you going to do?
For sure. And throughout the storyline of that book, it talks about all these different experiences where people are experiencing something that maybe for the first time.
And
And
it's not for everybody.
okay. And can you explain a little bit more about the storyline of how what that book is about?
Sure. It's about a 15-year-old girl named Lizzie who comes home from camp and finds out that her friends aren't the friends she used to know. And she's failing her math course, and she meets a guy, and there's a nasty rumor, and there's parties, and there are things she has to deal with, and uncomfortable, embarrassing situations. All things that happen to a teenage girl.
Okay.
And they're great conversation points to talk about the hard stuff, the embarrassing stuff.
And with that ex with that storyline, does she get to places of clarity where she
Yes,
realizes different
it
things?
does.
And what are some of those things?
She realizes who her friends are. She realizes that well, I don't want to give the book away, but she can't do hard things.
Okay.
Leave it at that.
All right. Um, with producing the book, putting it out, self-publishing it, what year did you put it out?
When was that? It was before COVID. So like,
Okay. So,
where was my mind before? Um, 2015, I think,
okay.
2014,
Got you. Got
I
you.
think.
So
Yes.
at that point, even Amazon is not as big in
It's on
terms of,
Amazon. You can get it on Amazon now. I
I'm
think I
going,
got it on Amazon right away.
yeah, that's what I was saying. In 2015, Amazon is not what it is today.
Oh no, no, but it
So,
was definitely there.
so,
All my favorite books on Amazon.
so self-publishing in 2015 is a different ball game than it is today.
Totally. And back then, like there wasn't as many publishers to help you get through that.
Right.
The publishing company that I use is no longer in business.
Right.
Now there's like hybrids. It's so many choices you can choose from to help you publish your book.
Right. And so with going through that process of getting it printed and published on your own, the process of finding a way to distribute it, that's something. What did you do to be able to figure that out?
I got back on the phone and called bookstores.
Okay.
But Amazon did a pretty good, just like it was a pretty good, I guess, anchor for my sales. It was a really good starting point.
Okay.
And then for local bookstores, I would get on the phone and call. Yeah, but and that's the same with my second book that was published with a marketing company. But then my third book was published by a traditional publisher, and that I did not have to do any selling to bookstores.
Okay. And from your experience, what was the upside and or the downside of self-publishing versus working with a publisher?
Self-publishing, you definitely have more control, but with that, you have more responsibility. So I have learned a very valuable lesson: never proofread anything on a screen.
Okay.
Won't see the mistakes. So my first, I think 100 copies that I had printed, I had a spelling error in my last name. I couldn't believe it. I didn't see it. I'm just so used to seeing it over and over again. I just didn't see it.
Right.
Anyhow, my friends who got a copy were actually quite proud because they got the first 100 copies. So they're okay with my big spelling error. But it's a great lesson. You have more control, but also more responsibility. And then with traditional publishing, I think I prefer because you work with a team, you're not alone. And I love that. I love working with a team.
Yeah. And was that something that came to you, or did you have to go out and find that?
Oh, I had to go out and find it. Oh, yeah. No, that's actually quite funny. I would love to see the day when a publisher or a literary agent will come knocking on my door. That'd be a great treat. No, this publisher was number 103. I went down the list of publishers and pitched my book and then got a lot of rejection. That was a hard 6 months.
And what's the mindset when you're dealing with that and going through those rejections?
It's not fun. So it's funny, other people, other authors that I'm friends with, that's not their day job. This is my day job. So they have their regular job that they get praise and a paycheck with. And so that I think keeps them going. And they have this, I mean, it's still disappointing when you get rejection, but it's not as, I guess, this was the only thing I was working on at the time. So it hurt more, even though I was used to rejection since childhood, as I began to say in our beginning of our interview. It was still a hard 6 months. But I have my friends and family to support me while I was on my kitchen floor screaming when.
Yeah. And how many times did you think you were going to quit?
Never. Isn't that interesting how I just say, right? I never, no,
Yes.
never, I'm not going to quit. No, no way.
All right. So let's go
Now,
there.
that actually was like, I felt like a little bit of fire in my belly when I said that. Isn't that interesting?
Yes, that's what I'm.
Like that was like, never, I'm not going to quit. Like even that hard summer job where the kids are driving me bonkers, I could have taken my bags and left, but no, I'm not going to quit. No way. I'm
Yeah.
going to finish this job.
So with that, because that came out fast,
I know.
you didn't think
Wild.
about that very long. That came out fast. So
I know.
you described it as you're literally on the floor saying, when is this gonna hit? When is this gonna work? And yet you don't have the thought to quit, to just
Never.
put it back on the shelf. What was that internal flame inside of you that gave you the confidence to continue getting up the next day and making some more calls?
Because all it takes is one.
Right,
All it takes is one. That's
right.
why I just keep going.
You knew it inside
I knew it inside.
that there was potential. on the other side of the next day. And the reason I'm highlighting that is because for me, when I had attempted suicide, ended up in the hospital for 6 weeks, ended up an outpatient for 6 weeks after that before I was released from the hospital. The thing that I was able to shift in terms of mindset to be able to get through when I would experience a deep, dark depression was getting through a period of 24 hours of time. If I could focus on just that, then I could put everything else to the side and know that it wasn't going to affect me because I'm only in 24 hours. Between 8, 9 of those 24 hours, I'm sleeping. So that's, we've already got that far. Next, all right, how much time do I have left in the 24 hours? That allows me to start breaking that down. Can I get through 3? Maybe not today. Maybe too difficult for 3. All right, how about 1? Can we get through 1 hour? I don't think so. I don't know that I can make it through an hour. All right, can we break it down to quarter hours? Maybe, but I'm really struggling here. All right, let's get through 3 minutes. Can we get through 3 minutes? Well, just me thinking, can I get through 3 minutes is eating away time. So by the time I look back at the clock, I'm at 4 minutes. Oh, wow, wait, I just went past my 3 minute goal. Now I'm starting to roll the time back out. Now it's stretched back out to 24 hours. I can get through this 24 hours. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? It's a fresh start, clean slate, a new day. That, I think, is an important thing for creatives to be able to think about, which you had within you instinctively, where you said, tomorrow could be completely different. And that was just the thing that helped you get and keep going to get that book into the publisher's hand.
Right.
That's hugely valuable. That's something within you yourself that is an asset, a creative asset, because you have the belief in what you're doing to continue doing it. And you can see where it's going to benefit others, where it's going to continue to do as now the manual is helping with teachers, right?
Mhm.
If you would have been stuck in that moment of being on the floor, being like, when is this next one going to happen? You were stuck in that. All of the accomplishments that you've made with just that one book, and then it branching out into this manual may have never come to be. Again, I just want to highlight something for the audience because it's hugely valuable from my perspective. With shifting into getting it to the publisher, what is the publisher's initial response of reading it and deciding, yes, we want to work with you?
Well, I don't know what she said, but she really loved my story. I mean, I don't know what she was thinking when she first read it, but so I really love your story. Let's work together.
Okay. And
The contract.
obviously, it was a good
A very
experience
happy
because
day.
it's still ongoing. Yes.
Yes. Well, this next book is not going to be published with her,
Okay.
uh, but I would definitely work with her again.
Okay. And in terms of the contract, because when you're working with a publisher, there's always a contract. There's always
Mhm.
terms in the contract. There's always different elements of numbers those types of things. Can you give the audience a little bit of a view of what it's like to deal with a contract and a publishing company in terms of who becomes the owner of the rights of the copyright and what is the shared experience of that as well?
Well, I don't know if I can actually share what's in my contract, but I can say
Yeah.
that she owns the property
Okay.
and any future movie rights, television rights. She's like the whole, she owns everything. And I needed a lawyer to go through the tooth and nail just to make sure that all in my favor and it's fair.
Yeah.
It's a pretty thick document. And it took a while to go through.
The reason I bring that up is because of myself working in multiple industries, one being music and entertainment, is the fact that there's many times within that genre and realm where the recording company, the publishing company, they have a tendency to take advantage of the artist and the opportunity. You had this discerning sense within yourself that you needed to go get an attorney to make sure that
Oh, for sure.
you
You
did
have to.
everything. And so that's where I was going with wanting to give the audience a little bit of perspective on what it's like to deal with a contract, not
You always deal
necessarily
with the
getting into the
professionals.
details.
Yeah, you go to the professionals for that type of thing.
Okay. Now they own all of the rights to that. Do they also own the rights to the manual?
Oh, no, no, no. That's just the most amazing department store. This is mine.
Oh, okay. So I'm on a
Different book,
yeah,
different book.
I'm still on that book. I'm still
You're
on
still
that.
on oh, this is not published by it. This is self-published.
Okay, so there's nobody has any ties to that.
No, no.
Gotcha.
And this
That's
is the one that's connected to my publisher. Yeah.
okay, gotcha. That's where
Get confusing because
yeah,
I always stick with one publisher.
gotcha. All right. With this new book coming out, is it with
Hmm.
the same publisher? Is this
No, this is self-published.
it's gonna be self-published as well?
Yeah,
Are you working
yeah.
with a distribution company?
No, it's going to go just through Amazon.
Okay,
And I hope to sell to businesses.
gotcha. Okay. Is there any preview to what that is going to be about?
Sure, it's a collection of short stories for women who are at a certain age
Okay.
with some perspective of different mentors on these short stories, what I've learned. So it's just like they're like hindsight stories. The perfect read before bed.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Excellent. And throughout this whole process of you writing these books and different things, have you thought of or had any other creative ventures that you've thought you might step into?
But I am not at liberty to say right now.
Okay.
Uh,
Um,
Something's in the works, but I like to keep that confidential.
got you. And through this, your husband's been fully supportive, has
Yeah.
back.
Like, yeah, great, go for it. Yeah. I mean, like, I mean, writing cannot get me into any trouble, not legal or anything. So I'm just having a lot of fun with it.
Okay. And if there was anything out, any bit of information that you would want to give to the audience in terms of if somebody's thinking about being an author or writing a book or a short story,
Mhm.
what would be the advice that you would give them?
Oh, to not give up and to enjoy the process. It's really not about the end result. I mean, once you hold your book in your hands and it's just a great feeling, but it's almost sad because you know what went into these pages and now it's over. And then you're like, now what? That's the feeling I got. Like, I'm so happy that I'm holding it in my hand, but now what am I going to do? So I just love the process of every day sitting down and writing a bit more and creating a story. It's beautiful. It's so fun.
For sure. And you mentioned a sadness that comes after you finish a project like that. How long does it normally take for you to get through that sadness after you finish a product or a project like that? And I want to go in this direction because I know and understand, even from my own perspective, once I finish something that I'm putting a ton of energy into, there's this downswing
You
of,
get it.
yeah, you get that drop in dopamine. You get that drop in that creative flow. It's almost as if a depression sets in. Um, and it's been related to over the years a lot of times to a postpartum type depression, which is similar that what females experience after birth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Usually, how long does something like that last for you?
It was like it's usually about a month, maybe a couple of weeks, because then you go on this huge PR campaign, then you're on a roll for a while. But not long, not long.
Okay. Is there anything specifically that you do knowing that that's coming to potentially help circumvent that a bit?
Yeah, I keep writing.
Okay.
So I'm very active on my social media page. I'm always sharing things, writing blogs or writing for an online magazine. So I keep up with that and I take care of myself. I love to exercise and eat well. Sleep is really, really important.
Yeah. Yeah.
See
Uh,
my friends, my supportive friends.
okay. How many books do you think are in the future for Sharon?
Hard to say because right now, like I'm almost done my fourth. I started my fifth. Who knows? 10? I just want to keep going. I want to keep writing as long as I'm able to.
Okay. And do you have any ideas of venturing into a specific genre?
Well, it's interesting you say that because I'm right now, I'm all over the place. I have a historical fiction. I have a young adult fiction. I have two nonfictions. So like, I I guess I'm not afraid to venture where I'm not usually been before.
Right.
Why not? What's the worst that can happen? Not going to blow up.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
What's the
Exactly.
worst that's going to happen?
Exactly. I think that's a great place for us to end because it says so much for a creative who may be having any kind of apprehensions about moving forward. And I always wanted to leave the audience with one last and final statement, and that is listen to your heart and be kind to your mind.
That's beautiful. Amen to that.
Thank you.